If you need any Xbox or PlayStation codes or anything gaming related, check the referral links down in the description. They'll take you to g2a.com. They already have a discount on most of their goods already, and with the code CHES at checkout, you can get yourself an extra 3% off as well. Hey guys, how's it going? Chez back again, and welcome to episode number 13 of the Atletico Madrid Career Mode series here on FIFA 15. In the last episode, we had some huge shock transfer news. If you missed the episode, there'll be a link to it in the bottom left-hand side of your screen to take you to it, or of course check the channel page. Probably best you watch that video first before watching this one if you haven't seen it, because I don't really want to spoil the shock transfer news, but we will be addressing that in the next 60 seconds or so. So if you don't want it spoiled, check the previous video and you won't have it spoiled. But today's episode is going to be something a little bit different. We won't be playing any games in today's episode. It's going to be one purely looking at transfer targets for the upcoming January transfer window. Of course, we disabled the first transfer window, so we haven't as of yet been able to strengthen the squad. So we do of course have a very good squad, and we are actually doing quite well in the league and in all cup competitions. Our starting 11 is very strong, as is the bench. Obviously people are just quite tired right now because we have just finished playing a game, or at least in the last episode we've just finished playing a game, as you can see from the calendar. I will advance as far as this first Barcelona game, but I won't play it in today's episode. That and the second game here, also against Barcelona, will come in tomorrow's episode, and then we'll play Barca and Granada in Sundays. But for now, we're tackling the transfer targets. I asked for transfer suggestions in the previous video, and you guys went nuts. We have plenty of suggestions. I've put my favourites into my shortlist, and we'll discuss that in the not too distant future. However, the first thing to do is accept this bid from Chelsea for Arda Turan. Obviously, I could have tried the short-term loan thing to try and get him to stay, but 44 million is a massive amount of money, and I know he's my best player, and I really do want him to stay, but I just cannot risk 44 million balanced against the fact that the board might just sell him on without my permission for an absolute steal. So we're going to accept that bid. That will hopefully give us around about 80 million to spend. Now, before we advance, I will quickly show you this shortlist so that you can see what sort of players we're looking to replace Arda Turan with. Now, of course, I said trying to move on Raul Jimenez. Actually, let's check the transfer market, shall we? As you can see, I've got Raul Jimenez transfer listed. Actually, one other player I wanted to pop on the transfer list was Christian Rodriguez, because I have a few ideas for what to do with the growth of the squad. So Rodriguez, Jimenez, and of course now Arda Turan will be leaving the side. A couple of players still listed for loan, the youngsters that I'm not going to be using. There's still plenty of players loaned out, as you can see, and Thiago is retiring at the end of this season. So many players loaned out, so we definitely don't have to worry for the amount of players we have available to us. We have 4 current spots, you can see in the top right. Total 38 of 42 is available, and of course, if and when a few more leave us, then we'll have some extra spots as well. So, shortlist. We are looking for a player to play in the kind of CDM / centre mid role to replace eventually Thiago at the end of the season. So I was just having a quick eye with at a couple of players there. Obviously, with the amount of money we've got to spend, it would surely make sense to bring a player like that in now before Thiago retires, rather than wait and bring him in next season. We're also looking for at least a winger, if not 2, with the potential departure of Christian Rodriguez, and a striker as well. Now, I have a shortlist put together here. As you can see, there are a number of names on here. We'll go through them, starting off with actually, what I will say is players that I definitely want and will be my number 1 choices. I am 100% going to bring Eric Lamela to Atletico Madrid, as long as of course Tottenham are willing to sell for a reasonable price. But Eric Lamela is definitely one player that I'm going to do my absolute utmost to bring into the side to replace either Arda Turan or Christian Rodriguez, whichever one you feel deems the actual association. But Eric Lamela can play in the middle and can play out wide, similar to Alessio Cerci, who is the player we're thinking about moving inside off the wing to replace Arda Turan. And Eric Lamela, I feel, is a player of similar ability to Arda Turan, has same sort of stats as well when it comes to technical ability and the touch on the ball, his dribbling, etc., and his passing, and of course he has decent long shots and finishing, etc., and he's quite nippy. So he's definitely one player I really want to bring into the club. My preference for striker, as you can see, of got 4 here, although to be fair, Giuseppe Rossi's probably more of a cam player than an out-and-out striker for La Liga, in my personal opinion. Obviously, he's not got that much strength, so he's not going to be able to play it out up top on his own in the sort of formation that I'm going to be playing. So my preference, actually, you know what, let's just go through it one by one, shall we? Morgan Schneidlin is one player I'm looking at in the CDM/centre mid position. Unfortunately, he's a little bit lower than the other two. The other two are Mateo Kovacic, of course, an upcoming youngster, although he is quite weak. I've had a look at his base stats on Foothead, and he is quite weak. He's not that good in the tackle either, so obviously he will grow, but as a direct replacement immediately for Thiago, I'm not so sure, especially with players like Saul in the squad already, who is very accomplished in that CDM position. Of course, Miralem Pjanic is an absolute monster in centre mid, and he would probably be my preference of the 3 out of he, Kovacic and Morgan Schneidlin. Obviously, Schneidlin has really come to the fore in the BPL in the past couple of seasons with Southampton, proving himself to be a very accomplished central midfielder. But Miralem Pjanic is that extra little step above, I think, and I think he'd suit my playing style a little bit better as well. So he's probably my main target when it comes to centre mids. When it comes to out wide, we've said Eric Lamela is definitely one I want to bring in, although there are some extra options. Of course, as you can see, Juan Cuadrado is a player that has been very much so in the spotlight for the past 12 months or so, with getting team of the season, etc. last year, playing very, very well for Fiorentina, and then he had a stellar World Cup as well and has continued to impress into the 2014-15 season. So he is an option, obviously extremely fast and very, very good on the ball. Decent finishing as well at 75, and of course 5-star skills, although I'm really not the best skiller in the world. Thomas Muller is another player to look at, although that price tag is monstrous, so I probably won't be looking at Thomas Muller, although he could play up top as well, which is something that I need to take into account when thinking about that price tag, because he could play in 2 positions. A good utility player perhaps, so he's one of the players we'll be looking into. I'm going to scout and inquire about every single player on this list, so over the next few episodes we will be trying our best to bring in as many of them as possible. I think I don't want to flood the squad with new players, but I definitely want to build so that we can continue to do well this season as we have been so far. Of course, the centre mids we've looked at. Other wide players I'm looking at are perhaps Julian Draxler, although he is an extremely obvious and popular choice, and I know everybody seems to be signing Julian Draxler this year, same with last year, so I might steer clear of Julian Draxler purely for that reason. Nothing against his ability as a footballer, he's absolutely superb, but of course he will be in everyone's career mode series, and I kind of want to keep this one a little bit more unique. Obviously not entirely unique, because I'm still signing obvious players, but not necessarily the really obvious players like Julian Draxler and Paul Pogba, etc. And Marco Reus was mentioned in the comments section of the previous video as well. But Draxler is definitely on this list, though he is an option, just not necessarily near the top of my list. Sami Nasri is also a player that we could probably pick up a little bit cheaper than the rest, because he isn't an out-and-out first teamer at Man City. So obviously his value is 20 million, but we could probably get him for around that rather than having to bid a lot higher, maybe even a little bit less. He's clearly content playing at City, and his form is okay, but he of course is a very, very, very good player in all positions when it comes to the attacking side of the game. Some cams we're looking to potentially replace Arda Turan with then. Of course, Giuseppe Rossi we've previously mentioned, who can play again up top or in the cam role, preferably in the cam role really, with his ability to pass the ball and his, of course, ability to have an exquisite first touch, which is similar to the sort of style that Arda Turan was playing in that cam spot. Remy Cabella is a player that I've really been impressed with when playing with him on Ultimate Team this year. Hadn't previously used him in any Ultimate Teams, etc. in previous FIFAs, but this year on FIFA 15, he really is extremely nice to play with, both on head-to-head as well as Ultimate Team, so that makes me think he could be good for career mode as well, although I'm not sure how available he'll be, of course, considering he's only recently moved to Newcastle and we're only one further transfer window along. Another player is Adel Taarabt, obviously extremely good, promising player. He's not necessarily the obvious choice, but he is a very, very capable choice for that cam role. Again, I'm looking for a player with similar stats to Arda Turan, or similar abilities to Arda Turan, and his dribbling and passing ability and ability to beat a man is particularly impressive. So he's definitely one on the list, as well as is Douglas Costa. I don't know too much about him, but he was a popular choice in the comments section, and he appears to have decent stats already and decent growth potential. So Douglas Costa is potentially someone that we could look into as well. Up top, of course, the three main here that you can see are Edinson Cavani. Expensive, but potentially quite worth it, although I might be looking to him in the Chelsea career mode. I'm not entirely too sure yet, so I might steer clear of him for this one. He's probably third on the list. Second on the list in I guess I don't even know what the word is I'm looking for, but the second on the list of players that I actually want to bring in is, I can't think of the word, my brain's just failed me, Jackson Martinez. So you can see, not the I haven't scouted him yet, or at least I'm waiting for a scout report back on him to see his individual stats, but of course he's been one of the better strikers in Europe in real life for the past few years, but never really seemed to be, he's linked with everywhere else, it never seems to actually get a move started for him. So he has been at Porto for a few years now, but the main player I think I want to bring in is Gonzalo Higuain. So you can see, obviously he can do it in La Liga, he did it at Real Madrid for years, and I really do rate Higuain. 89 finishing is superb, and he's good on the ball as well. He seems to be exactly what we're missing up top. A little bit of pace, obviously not the fastest, Cavani is faster, although only just actually. There might actually not be that much difference. In fact, there isn't. Cavani's had a lot of pace taken off him this year. I'm not sure how fast Jackson Martinez is. As I said, we haven't quite got the scout report back for him yet, but Gonzalo Higuain is probably my preference up top. So with the three main players then, Gonzalo Higuain, Eric Lamela I definitely want to bring in, and probably Miralem Pjanic as well. Everyone else is kind of a maybe, still waiting to get some scout reports back, but that's kind of where we are right now. Let's actually, I will inquire straight up for all. Have I inquired? I'll inquire for everyone here, and then we'll advance to the Barcelona game. We're not actually going to play it, but we will maybe get some correspondence done before the end of the episode. It is going to be quite a long one, so if you're enjoying it, of course, feel free to leave the video a like, as always. That would be very much appreciated. If you've got any thoughts on any of the players we have in this shortlist, then of course feel free to let me know. I will take all on board. I kind of have my favourites. I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to buy a certain player, if that's one that perhaps you guys in the comments are leaning towards. Can I not inquire for anyone else? Apparently I can't. Either that I already have. But let's advance then. Hopefully Arda Turan, or you would presume Arda Turan, will move on. Jeeps, 5 emails. We've not even got out on Monday yet. This is actually going to be a longer episode than I thought it might be. An offer for Arda Turan from Man United. What's the deal with the sale of Arda Turan? We decided to act quickly and protect the harmony of the squad to accept the offer for Arda Turan. I've just accepted one. What are you even doing to me, board? I have no idea what the future of Arda Turan is going to be. I've accepted a bid from Chelsea, obviously. What's the betting the board now sell him to someone else for an absolutely ridiculously low figure, and we don't have the sort of money to spend that we want to? I'm going to counter offer 50, because that's sort of what we said to Chelsea, and we'll see what happens with that. That could be quite frustrating. Remy Cabella, he's only recently joined. That was what we thought was going to be the case. Sami Nasri, the 134. It's going to be a case of just throwing bids around, I think. But Sami Nasri definitely isn't worth 34. I'll offer you 17. Obviously, you can still, they do highly value their players a lot more than they're actually worth. Mateo Kovacic, 13 million. I don't really want to pay that sort of price for a player that I'm not too keen on, or not too sure can fill the sort of role that I'm looking for him to fill. 20 million for Lamela though is very agreeable, but we will just try a cheeky £14 million bid just to test the waters. This is going to be quite a long episode now though, so hopefully you are enjoying it. This is the more exciting part of a transfer, more exciting part of a career mode in the transfer window at least. Another 5 emails and we're on the day of the Barcelona game now. Transfer offer for Ndoye. He's someone I do want to move out of the club, so he can go. Remaining transfer budget 77 million, so it would seem then player sold. Yes! Brilliant! Thank you. Finally, something actually goes our way. Arda Turan has gone to Chelsea for 44 million, 37.5 million of which has been added to our transfer budget. Delighted with that. We had to make the most of a bad situation there. Let's have a look at all of these valuations, shall we? Thomas Muller is not available at any price. He would be fantastic though, wouldn't he, Thomas Muller? Question. Let's just offer them 30. Why not? YOLO. Give you 30 million for Thomas Muller, and they'll probably say no, he's just not for sale, but we'll leave that. Julian Draxler, 23. I'm just going to see if I can get as many bids accepted as possible, and then we'll just take it from there, because of course, I say I've got my favourites, but obviously there are alternatives, and I want to have stuff, you know, going on in the background if a certain player falls through. We'll offer you 18 for Cuadrado. Obviously there's a lot of movement, or a lot of leeway for movement in all of these bids, which is something that will be taken into account over the course of the next couple of episodes. But we'll try our best to bring in some top quality players to the club. Olympiacos who want 33. Well, I'll offer you 18, same as the Cuadrado, and we'll see what happens. So we've got a lot of money to spend. There are a lot of top quality players out there. The question is, what's going to happen next? That's going to bring today's episode to a close, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to leave the video like I said, and of course feel free to subscribe as well to make sure you don't miss out on any of this exciting transfer window news. There will be an episode tomorrow night, of course. There was an episode of the Chelsea career mode earlier on today. There will be an episode of My Player tomorrow afternoon as well, so of course keep an eye on your sub boxes for everything that's going on the channel. But that's going to bring today's episode to a close. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.